When we think of great musical composers, our minds usually drift to people like Mozart or Beethoven. But I have one name that I'd like to add into the mix of somebody who has revolutionized the idea of music, whose music just goes across genres and he never sticks to one type of music. And that is K.K. Slider. So K.K. Slider music has become a really big staple within Animal Crossing, and as the games have progressed, there have been even more K.K. Slider songs added to the mix. And I don't really know what inspired me to do this video. I think maybe KK came to me in a dream the other night and was just like, rank every single one of my songs, and that's exactly what we're doing. 107 songs, let's go! Hi everybody, my name is Alex, aka Qualitea, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I'm obviously not the first one to do a big tier list of all the KK Slider songs, but I wanted to spice things up a little bit. For those of you who don't know, I have a background in music, I'm a music teacher, I went to school for music. Music is a very big part of my life, so I figured why not talk about some of the inspirations for these KK songs as well. As I mentioned in that intro, KK Slider doesn't just stick to one genre, and in fact, all of the KK Slider music is a really interesting way to learn about other genres of music and where they came from, so I figured let's add that into the mix as well. That all being said though, while I'm going to be talking about the inspirations and other things like that, the tier list is still going to be my personal preferences. So keep that in mind. And this is gonna be a long one, so grab a snack, grab some water, and let's get into it. Now for our first song, we have Agent KK, which even though it's not really based on a specific genre or anything like that, it's supposed to be inspired by spy movies of the 60s and 70s, which is kind of cool. Like, you can kind of tell in this one it has a very jazzy, mysterious kind of feel, like you are a private investigator walking through streets trying to find criminals. That's what spies do, right? I also read up that there's some James Bond influence in this one too. I don't really get that, but I'm not saying it's not there. But ultimately, I think this is a pretty good KK pop. It's very chill, it's very, like, not out there. So even with the spy movie influences, it's a song that, you know, you could still play in your house and it'd still be really nice. Now, I think for this one, for me, I think we're gonna go ahead and put it in B. We're gonna start right out in the middle. It's a good song, I really like it. Next we have Aloha KK, which is one of the many songs inspired by world music in this game. So Aloha KK, as you can probably infer, is inspired by Hawaiian music, but more specifically Hapa Haole, which is really the combination between traditional hula music and American jazz. So think of like 1950s, 60s kind of hula music, where it's not really hula music, but it just has that kind of feel to it. It's very chill, it's very relaxing. You have some very nice percussive stuff going on in the background, a twangy guitar, all of that kind of stuff. It's very fitting of that time. And I think this is a good one. It's not really my favorite of all of the music, especially in comparison to some of the other Hawaiian influenced songs as well. So I think this one for me is probably a C tier. It's not bad, it's just not, it's not my personal favorite. So I think we're gonna put this one in C. Now KK Slider is not afraid to delve into covers of popular Animal Crossing songs, and this is Animal City, which is really just the city music from City Folk, which I've always liked. I always thought it was kind of nice. It definitely has that very city-like feel. There are kind of bal musette influences in there as well, which we'll talk about more in a second actually, but it's just the city folk music, so I'm not too attached to it. It's fun, it's nice, it's happy, and it definitely makes me feel like I'm in a city, but I think this is also a C tier for me, just when we think about the larger scheme of KK music in general. I prefer his original stuff. If we were just going based on Animal Crossing music, this one would be a lot higher, but because we're in the context of KK Slider, I think this is a C. And for one of the more famous Animal Crossing songs of all time, we have Bubblegum KK, inspired by bubblegum pop, or Japanese idol music. You kind of have a little bit of both there. It's very happy, it's very upbeat. You have some very fun little twangy electronic sounds going in the background. It's just kind of a positive song overall. I've always loved Bubblegum KK. I can't really say too much more about it. Just, it makes me really happy. And I think there's a reason it's so popular. Like, it makes you feel good. It's a good feeling song. I really like Bubblegum KK. This is an S tier for me. I know that's basic. I know it's basic, but I just really like it. Next we have Cafe KK, which, going back to bal musette music, this is where we're gonna talk about this. So bal musette music was very popular in the 1880s. It was brought over from immigrants, namely from Italy, which I think is really interesting because you can kind of hear that Italian influence in there as well, but it primarily uses the accordion, and they would play it in bars, cafes, just kind of outdoor public settings. And it's like when you think of a stereotypical French cafe, this kind of music is the music you would probably think of. It's very just of that time. It's got a very dance-like feel to it. This one especially has a waltzy feel to it, which is very, very fun. This one I think is kind of a little underrated. It's not my personal favorite, but I really, really do like it. It's just got a very nice kind of groove to it. It has that very obvious Parisian influence. I really, really like this one. I think this one's another B for me. I don't think it necessarily transcends into the A rank, but I do think this is an underrated one overall. Next we have Chill Wave. This one I believe was introduced in the 2.0 update of New Horizons, along with a bunch of other music that's very similar to Chill Wave, but this one, I like this one. I listen to a lot of lo-fi music in general, so this is right up my jam. But, so talking about Chill Wave, so obviously, as the name implies, it's based on Chill Wave, which is a micro-genre of electronic music, which if you know anything about electronic music, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack. But Chill Wave specifically was really starting to gain its popularity in the early 2000s, and it's actually really interesting because it's one of those music forms that primarily just came from the internet. But yeah, Chill Wave is definitely an A for me. I really, really like it. It's just got a good groove. Again, very lo-fi-y, very just chill. Comrade KK. This is an interesting one because this song could have multiple influences all within the same time period. So, upon the name, you would assume that it's Russian influenced, very much so Soviet Union, but that might not be true. I always assumed that it was, partially because of the name, of course, the American name, but it could also actually be influenced by Showa popular music as well. So the Showa era was from 1926 to 1989, I believe. I could be wrong on those dates, but I believe it's that period of Japan. So that was a really, really big turning point for Japan, especially in the later half where they kind of started to, you know, revolutionize. There was the big technological boom, etc. So yeah, this song is very similar to a lot of Showa era, especially within the 30s and 40s. Or it could be bard-like music that was also really popular of that time in the Soviet Union. So we really don't know. I think it's also even more confusing because the cover art of this song, I immediately assumed it was Dmitri Shostakovich, who is one of my favorite composers of all time. But also, it could be Japanese Showa-era artist Taru Shoji instead. They have the glasses, they've got the hair, it's really, really similar. So mixed influences aside, this one has a very, very kind of like traditional kind of sound to it. This has always been a favorite of mine. Always. I always play this song in the music room of my house. Yeah, I really love this one. So Comrade KK's, it's an S tier for me. It's a weird one to put in S tier, especially when it'll be up against some of the other ones. Next is DJ KK, which is another very much so favorite of mine. I am a sucker for Eurobeat and Eurodance music. I don't know where that ever came from because I kind of just missed the mark on the height of it. There was still some in the early 2000s, but mainly Eurobeat and Eurodance, 80s, 90s, definitely. And I love it. I love it. It's so upbeat. It's so fun. I love it. So those are obviously the influences for DJ KK. Obviously, it's kind of like, oh, you're DJing in the club where you're playing your dance music. I love this one. This one's an S tier for me too. I've always really liked Eurobeat. It's very reminiscent of a lot of Aqua music and like the Real McCoy, like just groups like that. So I really like DJ KK. This is an S tier. Next we have Drive-In, which I swear could have been used in Mario Kart. It's really just supposed to make you feel like you're driving through a city. There's not really any big influences involved in this one, but it's a nice little song. Again, it sounds like a Mario Kart car selection track, which I think is fun. This one though, in terms of what it's trying to do, it doesn't make me feel like I'm driving through a city, to be honest. It does involve cars, but I'm not feeling the driving through a city. There's another KK song later that does make me feel that way. I think this one, it's a good song. I think this is a B tier for me though. Next is Farewell, which is an interesting one. Let's talk about minimalism for a second. So minimalism was really popular in the 60s, 70s, and 80s for the most part, especially in the 60s and 70s, where it's kind of an abstract kind of musical idea. You're taking a lot of different like atonal sounds, and sometimes it can be hard to identify really the melody and where it is and where it's going. This in particular uses something really interesting called the shepherd tone, which what it does, it creates the idea of an ever ascending melodic line, which is really interesting. It just continuously makes you feel like you're going up and up and up, even though that's not what's happening. It's causing an audio illusion, which is just really cool. It's a really cool musical concept. So I think this one's a really interesting one to put into Animal Crossing. It's not one that I'm really like listening to on the daily, but I appreciate that it's in here because minimalism is really cool. Sometimes it can be hard for people to listen to because it's so out there. I think it's fascinating to talk about. So this one for me, just for that, I'm gonna put this one in B. It does also have kind of a nice positive feel to it too. Next we have another cover remix of Animal Crossing music, Forest Life. I really do love this version of the original Animal Crossing theme. I think it's really nice, and it kind of just, it's very nostalgic, of course, especially with having the main melody, I think, in kind of the glockenspiel part. I think it's really nostalgic. It's really cute. I like it. Do I rank it higher than other KK songs, though, is the big question. I think this is another one that I think I'm gonna put it in A. I prefer this one to Animal City, but I couldn't put it in S just because it's Animal Crossing music. I really love this theme. I think it's adorable. I think though it'll end up being on the lower side of A, kind of right in between A and B. Another one of the really popular ones, especially because it was featured in Smash, we have Go K.K Rider, which has a direct influence to the show Kamen Rider, which started to get its popularity within the 1970s of Japan. Very popular action show. You'll see Kamen Rider a lot, which is kind of cool. And it's not really based off of any one individual theme from the show, but just kind of action shows of the 70s in general, and kind of a whole mix of the Kamen Rider themes. This is a great one. I really love it. It does seem like it's kind of an anime opening kind of song, or just featured in anime. It's got a really good groove to it. It's just fun. I've always really liked this song. This was one that in the music player in Smash Bros. Brawl I'd always turn on in the morning before school to get me hyped up. I've always really liked this one. This one is not quite an S for me, but an A. Next is another weird abstract one. We have Hypno KK. A lot of people like to use this one in like their scary rooms in their house, which makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So this one is obviously supposed to feel very dreamy, very sleep-like you're in a daze. I think it does that very well. It's also just very eerie in general. It's actually kind of interesting what this one is supposedly inspired from. The closest thing I could find is that it's inspired from hauntology, which usually is trying to elicit feelings of nostalgia, even if you can't really explain why. And I do think this song does that. I really do. It is very eerie in a personal way. Like, if that makes any sense. I like this one, but not really. Like, I love the idea of it. I love what it's trying to do. I think it's so weird, and I really love the weird Animal Crossing music, but I do think this one for me is a C, maybe a D. It makes me feel a little odd. It makes me feel a little odd, but I appreciate what this one tried to do. I think I'm gonna put it in C. Next up is I Love You, which I really don't like this song. It's cute in a hokey way, like it uses a calliope organ, which is interesting, I guess. There's not really any other influences to it, it's just, I love you. But if somebody were to proclaim their love to me with this song, I'd feel a little awkward. So this one's a D tier for me. I'm really sorry for fans of this song. I think the cover is really cute. I think the cover is super cute. I just don't like the song at all. Next is Imperial KK, which more world music. We are now going to China. So this song has a lot of influences from Chinese orchestra, which is very different from Western orchestras. I really recommend looking up Chinese orchestras. This takes a lot of the instruments used in a traditional Chinese orchestra, mixes it with some Western instruments as well. Like, it's a really good feel to it. It's mainly featuring the xylophone. This has always been a really good one. I really like this one. I think Imperial KK is probably probably an A. I just think it's very interesting. There's a lot going on here. And again, the mixing of instruments is just a really, really cool thing. Next is KK Adventure, which, while not inspired from any big part of the world or anything like that, is inspired by movie themes. Very dramatic, very big movie themes. This one specifically seems to have a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean influence as well, especially in the opening. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Like, it's very similar. It's very, very similar. And I think that's cool. I don't have any problems with this one. It's just not a favorite of mine. So I feel like this one is probably also gonna be a C. To no fault of its own, it definitely accomplishes what it needs to, but I almost wish it were a little more original. Like, still have the same feel, but it's kind of evident that it's very Pirates of the Caribbean. And I love the Pirates of the Caribbean theme. I wish there was more to this one. Next is KK Aria, and this is an interesting one because now we get to talk about opera, despite there being no opera in this song. So an aria is a self-contained piece for voice, usually a part of a larger work like an opera. One of the more popular examples is the Queen of the Night aria from The Magic Flute by Mozart, and it's usually this very big, swelling, soloistic piece of music, sometimes accompanied by instruments, sometimes not. In this case, we have kind of a reedy sound taking on the main melodic line, and it fits. I think it's very nice. It has kind of a very chill feeling to it. It's still not one of my favorites. It's one thing where I feel like the Western classically inspired music by KK is just not, it doesn't always fit super well. I like, it does, but it doesn't. So this one for me, I think, well, it definitely fits within the realm of an aria. I think I'm gonna put it in C. It's also kind of a little boring, to be honestly. Like, arias can be gorgeous and wonderful, but this one's just a little meh. So this one goes in C. Next is KK Ballad, which initially hearing this one, I was like, meh. But then you get into the main melody and it's very nice. This is inspired by the sentimental ballad, and typically those are usually about love and relationships and pining for people. And I do think that this one captures that pretty darn well. Kind of a soft melodic line that's just like very groovy too in an interesting way. This one I like. I don't think I would put it any higher than B, but I like it. It's got a good jam to it. I think it's kind of a high B. Again, the melodic line's just really nice. It's very soft, it's very sweet. I like it, so we'll put this one in high B. Next, another one that came with the 2.0 update, KK Bashmet. So Bashmet music originated in Jamaica, and it's kind of another name for dancehall music of the time. It's got a very good groove to it. It's very chill, but you have that kind of drum kit going on in the background too. It evolved from traditional reggae, which I think is also interesting. Jamaican music is also another area of music that's just so broad and so interesting, and seeing how the influences go from one another. You're going to find a lot of KK songs are very much so inspired by the music of Jamaica, especially in the later half of the 20th century. So very, very cool. I like this one. I think this was a really, really nice addition. This one's got a nice electronic sound to it and also uses loops, so it kind of keeps going. It's a good groove. This one I'm gonna put an A. This one I really, really liked. I never even heard it in like my game. I didn't hear it until doing this list. I really like this one. I really, really like this one. So this is an A. Next, we have KK Bazaar, which is inspired by the music of the Romani people. So this has a very special place in my heart. I played in a Balkan klezmer band in college, and we played a lot of traditional music from Romania and Hungary and just all of that part of the world. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And just, you know, Romani music is so interesting and it's so like, there's just a lot going on there. This one obviously features heavy accordion and some nice percussive strings in there. It's really, really fun. Romani music is like party music to me. I love it. I love it so much. So this one is an A tier for me as well. It's just fun. It's got a good dance feel to it. I don't know. I'm biased. I'm really, really biased. I love music from that part of the world. So there you go. Now this one is a special one. KK Birthday, because all of your animals sing it to you on your birthday. This song sometimes makes me want to cry because it's just so cute. Like, especially seeing all your animals like walk around your little kitchen table dancing the song. It's just so cute. I can't take it. I just can't take it. In terms of the song, I think it does a good job of still maintaining that same happy birthday feel without, you know, breaking any copyright laws. I think I do have to put it in A. I wouldn't put it in S. It's not a song I'm gonna turn on and jam to, but this one's so nostalgic and sweet and just, I really like this one. I really like it, so I think I'm gonna put KK Birthday in A. It's just so cute. I just can't get over it. Next, we have KK Blues, which almost kind of sounds like the losing theme in Mario Kart Double Dash, mainly because of the whistle, I think. But this is obviously inspired by blues, and it makes use of the traditional 12-bar blues scale. Yes, of course it does. It's blues. Why wouldn't it? So for a very, very quick explanation, in 12-bar blues, you're going from your 1 chord, your 4 chord, your 5 chord in a very specific order. I'll put a table on the screen so everybody can kind of see what I mean, and then listen along and kind of like see where it changes. It's very, very typical in blues music, and I think this one does a really, really nice job too in general of like just maintaining that bluesy feel. It's very good. It fits within it. This one, I'm not a big fan of blues, unfortunately. I think blues can be great and incredible, but I'm just not a super big fan, so I think I'm gonna put KK Blues in B. Next, we have KK Bossa, which is a very, very, very big vibe. I just love this one. So Bossa Nova originated in Rio de Janeiro in the 50s and 60s. Bossa Nova has come to be so much more than just a style of music, but you hear the Bossa Nova beat, which is kind of what I'm doing right here, this very big groove in samba music a lot of the time as well. Like the Bossa Nova beat is pretty iconic. You hear it more often than you think. But this one's just a really nice, chill song in general. I've always really liked this one. This is the song I think I have playing in my bathroom in New Horizons, just because it's so chill and so nice. But yeah, you'll also notice it kind of has like weird chord structure, again for my music theory people, but it's also got very like syncopated rhythm. You're not like just fitting in any kind of like structure. I really like this one. KK Bossa is an S tier for me. Next is another fun one. We have KK Break, which is inspired by the breakdancing music, especially the early breakdancing music of the 70s. I think it's really cool. It also kind of, the title references the use of sampled breaks within this as well, so it's just very of the time, and I really like it. It's got a good groove. So of course, not just breakdancing, but hip-hop, which is also a really, really interesting genre of music. I really like recommend looking up the history of hip-hop and how it's evolved over the years, because it's so cool. It's like such a diverse genre of music, and people don't really think about it, but it's really, really cool, so recommend that. This one's just a good groove. This one's definitely an A tier for me. It's just fun. It's very, again, very chill. I like the chill ones, and I don't know, I think it's got a very nice percussive feel to it too. Like, I like it. I could jam, so A. Next, we have KK Calypso, which is inspired by music that came from Trinidad and Tobago, which this sounds like, you know, very tropical music, mainly because of the steel drums. Of course, that's a big aspect of it, playing the melodic line. It's got another very good syncopated rhythm to it as well, so it's a fun vibe. I really like this one, so this is an A for me as well. I'm a sucker, an absolute sucker for steel drum music. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's so nice. It's so nice. Next, we have KK Kasbah, which takes its inspiration from Turkey and Turkish music. So I think it's really, really interesting. You like, in these KK songs, you have a lot of them that use sounds that sound like traditional instruments from the region they're based off of. And this one uses the zurna, which is actually a relative to the oboe. So it's got that double reed. It's very reedy in sound quality. It's really interesting. And so the thing with double reeds is they take so much pressure to play because, you know, quick reed thing. A clarinet and a saxophone, that's a single reed. You just have your one piece of wood and it vibrates against the mouthpiece. But with a double reed, you just have 2 pieces of reed vibrating against one another. So the pressures, I can't play oboe. I can try, but it doesn't work super well. So it's a really, really cool instrument. The zurna is very, very interesting. And what the zurna actually does, it's an instrument that you want to kind of circular breathe, which means rather than breathing through your mouth the entire time, you're actually circulating the air through your nose so you can keep going and playing without stopping. So very, very cool. It's structured in a way where that is the easier way to go. And you'll kind of notice in this one, it has kind of a drone-like sound to it as well. And that's part of the same reason. So this is a really cool one. The inspiration from this is really, really interesting. And I love talking about instruments, non-Western instruments. So very, very cool. I like this one. It is kind of a little like, but I think this one to me is an A, a low A. I wish it were a little bit more upbeat, but I just really like the influence with this one. It's very, very cool, so it's an A. Next we have KK Chorale, which I am less enthusiastic about. So what a chorale is, it's basically taking the melody of a very stately hymn and harmonizing it so you have more voices coming in. One very popular example is Bach had like 400 chorales. I make my students play chorales because they're really great for helping with intonation and learning about just kind of playing things very lyrically. I don't like chorales though. I really don't like chorales. This is definitely a C for me. This one's really boring. It's very pretty, it's very stately, but it's boring. It's boring. So KK chorale goes in C, almost D. Now this is a very cool one. I really like this because this is something new that I learned too. KK chorino. So chorino, which is based off of choro, means a little cry. Choro itself is a very popular kind of Brazilian music, and it's very fun. Despite the name being really sad, usually choro music is very upbeat and very fun. Like in this one, you can kind of hear it starts a little bit darker and then it goes into a very happy major kind of sounding section, and it's just really cute. Like it's really, really cute. You've got like a nice tambourine, you've got a good acoustic guitar. I really like this one. I really, really like this one. This is definitely an A for me. And yeah, like I didn't know about this one or its influences until doing this list. So hey, discovering new music every day. Now, KK Condor is another one that I really love. This one's playing in my bedroom in New Horizons, actually. I don't really know why, but I've just always liked this one. Andean influences. This one uses a lot of acoustic guitars, tinha drums, and siku, which is a pan flute. And I am a sucker for anything that is flute related, so it makes sense why I like this one so much. But it's just kind of got like a very mysterious kind of feel to it. I don't know, it's a fun one. I really, really like this one. It's just very unique. It's very, very unique. And again, I love flutes, so this is an S tier for me. You'll notice a pattern. The ones that I have in my house are usually the ones that are in the S tier. So the best way I can describe KK Country is you're waiting in line for a Western themed roller coaster or minecart ride at an amusement park, and this is the music that's playing in the background. So obviously it's inspired by traditional country, not the country of today, not pop country, but this is very much so old American Southern country music, which is actually kind of fun. You have a very like twangy sound to it. It's very like, I don't know, it's cute, it's fun. I actually like KK Country a decent amount. I'm not a country fan. I really, really dislike modern country music. But when it comes to music like this, where it's just kind of fun and like, yeah, we're just strumming on our banjo, I'm down for it. I really, really like it. KK Country, I think, is gonna go in B, just because, again, I can't really compare it to the ones that I've put in A, but I do like this one quite a bit. Now, KK Cruisin' is the song I was referring to when we were talking about driving, where this one I feel like I'm driving through a city even more. So this one's actually based on G-Funk, aka Gangsta Funk, and you can kind of feel the influences. It does feel very funky, but it's also very mellow and very chill, and just like, yeah, you're just kind of, you're cruising along. I really like this one. This one's another S tier for me. This is one that whenever I hear like, oh, like chill Nintendo music, this one's always on it. This one's always on those playlists. I love this one. I think KK Cruisin's a great song. So S tier. Next we have KK D&B, which stands for drum and bass. So drum and bass music was really, really, really popular in Britain in the 90s, which is very percussive and less electronic, which you can kind of hear it, like you have that kind of sound in the background. So this one's cool. Like this one's definitely a vibe. It makes me feel like I'm in an arcade for some reason. I don't really know why. I don't like it as much as I like some of the other electronic songs that KK has to offer, but I do like this one. I appreciate this one. This one I think is gonna go in B. This one I always feel so bad because I always see this one go in the D tier of the ranking list. And I mean, it makes sense. Literally, a dirge means lament and sadness and death. So yeah, I mean, this one isn't the happiest of songs. Very, very, very like spooky. It just sounds like impending doom, but I think it does it really, really well. I think it really, really, really does it well. Like, it's very discordant. It makes you uncomfortable. And I think it does that very, very well. So this one's going at the top of D tier. I also really, really love the cover art for this one. It looks like something out of Over the Garden Wall, which, great show. We have made it to one of my absolute favorite KK songs, KK Disco. So I was like an okay disco fan. I loved ABBA, of course, but this one is, it's just so happy and so fun. Obviously, based off of disco of the 70s. I love this one. I just love this one so much. It makes me so happy. It's like, It's so good for like just very poppy kind of situations, very much so a party song. This one, I have it playing on my island at like the pool arcade area, and I think it fits really, really well. But this one, it just always brings a smile to my face. It's got a good groove, it's got a really nice bass line to it too, which I think is really cool. And of course, the cover art of this one's based off of Saturday Night Fever. Very obvious, but you know, it's still worth mentioning. So this one is definitely an S tier to me. I love KK Disco. I really, really do. Next is KK Dixie, which is based off of Dixieland jazz of the early 20th century. You can almost kind of hear the influences of the Saints Come Marching In on this one as well, which I think is kind of cool. So Dixieland originated in New Orleans, and it kind of was the foundation of later swing and jazz to come as well. And I don't know, it's important. I don't really like Dixieland jazz. It's really, really important, but it's just not really my favorite. So I think this one we're gonna put in C. It's got a good feel to it. It's very positive. It's very happy. It's just not for me. Next is another one of the newer ones, I believe. Another one that I hadn't heard until I was doing this list. KK Dub, which dub is another subgenre of electronic music. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those. But not only that, but it's also a subgenre of reggae. So you kind of hear both influences there. It's very electronic, but like kind of the melodic structure of it sounds like a lot of reggae, very positive. But yeah, this one especially is very rhythm heavy, and it remixes different parts of the song within it as well. So I think this one's cool. I enjoy its inclusion in the game. This one's kind of a little boring to me, to be honest, though. I'm just not feeling this one. So I think this is another C. Next, we have KK Etude, which, to explain what an etude is a short piece of music usually used to demonstrate a specific skill on an instrument. For flute etudes, a lot of the time we'll have some that are making us work in time signatures and working on very, very technical passages so we can get the finger speed up, stuff like that. They can really be for any kind of musical lesson. I give my kids etudes all the time because they're really, really, really helpful, and they're teaching you more about music than just having you play it. This is a cute one. I think it's a cute one. It definitely sounds like an etude. It's very repetitive. It's very sticking to one kind of main idea. But again, it's just not, it's fine. This one's fine, I guess. So I think KK Etude is gonna go in C. Next, we have KK Fair, which we're finally getting into some Japanese-inspired music. This one is specifically inspired by Okinawan traditional kind of festival music. It's got a very dance-like feel to it. It's very fun. You have kind of a chanting sound going on in the background. Very, very interesting. This one also uses the sanshin, which is kind of related to the shamisen. It's a 3-string banjo-like instrument, very plucky, very fun. This one's just cool. It's got like, it has a very big dance feel to it, which is kind of where those origins originate from. It's very cool. This one I think is gonna be a low B. I can't really compare it to some of the other ones, but I do like this one. And again, I think the influences are very, very, very cool. Next is KK Flamenco, which this is another one that's just a very dance-inspired, very fun. So flamenco comes from the Andalusia region of Spain, and it's very percussive. You can hear the clapping in the background, usually just one acoustic guitar kind of going for it. Very, very fun. And of course, flamenco is also a dance as well. You'll see flamenco dancers, very big, swirly dresses. Very, very cool. I like this one a lot. I like the hand clapping aspect of it because it's so important to this kind of music. This one I think is a B tier for me as well. It's very nice. Middle of the pack B. Middle of the pack. Next is KK Folk. As I said, more Japanese inspired music. So this is based on Minyo, which is a song that Japanese workers would sing in the early 1900s. And it's just, there's a lot of call and response going on here too. Lots of traditional Japanese sounding instruments. This one's kind of cool. I've always really appreciated this one. It's very different from some of the other traditional Japanese music that you'll hear. So I like this one a lot. This one's definitely an A for me, I think. It's just, I don't know. It's got that very mysterious feel to it. But yeah, it definitely fits kind of within the genre itself. So I like this one. All right, KK Fugue, more Western classical. So a fugue is where a melody is established, and then as the piece progresses, it's played in counterpoint against itself. So and this one does that pretty well, I think. Fugues are super important in Baroque music, and one very famous example is Bach's Fugue in G minor. Very, very popular. Even if you don't recognize the title, you've definitely heard it before. But so I have interesting feelings about Baroque music. As a flute player, you play a lot of Baroque. This one, I think it does a good job at kind of maintaining the fugue format. But again, it's just not, this one's a C for me. I don't really like this one. Next, we have KK Fusion, which is based on jazz fusion, namely Herbie Hancock's music. So you have a lot of jazz influences, but you also kind of have a little bit of electronic stuff in there as well. Like in this one, you have like an acoustic bass playing in the background, but you have a very electronic sound playing the melody. Really, really cool. Fusion jazz is so interesting. It's so cool. And there's just so much kind of weird, funky stuff out there. I love it. I really, really love it. This one's a good one. I would put this one an A. So KK Groove also kind of follows within that jazz fusion effect. This one's got a little bit more funk to it too, which is nice. We've got a very prominent horn section playing the melody. It's very fun. It's very, very fun. This one I would rank higher than Fusion, I think, just because it's got so much more of like a defined groove to it, but I really like it. I really, 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 really like it. I suppose I'm a bit more partial to funk than I am jazz, but yeah, I really like this one. So next we have KK Gumbo. Obviously gumbo is not a genre of music. It's just a delicious food. I don't know why they named this song that, but regardless, based on New Orleans jazz, and you kind of have that. It's got like a very different feel to it than other types of jazz. Like it's very prominent in the percussion and bass, and like it's very cool. Like New Orleans is such an interesting place musically. It's so diverse. I've never been, but I'd really like to go, but I don't know. It's got a very strong melody to it. This one, I think I would put probably in high B. I like it. It's not one I'm gonna listen to a lot of the time, but I really, really, really like it. Now, we've got KK Hop, which is inspired by songs of the golden age of hip hop, which is 1986 to 1997. You've got that good whistle feel to it again, lots of clapping, it's laying down kind of a good bass. I do like this one. I think this one's kind of a C though. I think it's kind of a C. Maybe in between C and B, but I like it. Next we have KK House, which is inspired by house music. It's got a good beat to it. It's very chill. It's very, very chill, which is a good thing for me. This one's an A tier for me, I think. It's very groovy. I really like it. It's got like this nice little piano break in the center too, which I think is really interesting. So yeah, I think this one's an A for me. Next is KK Island, which is a remix of the Animal Island song from the original Animal Crossing. I think this one's cute. It definitely has kind of like an island feel to it. So it's nice, I like it, but it's not one that I listen to a lot, I guess. So I think personally, I'll probably rank it a little lower. I think this is another C. I don't know, it's chill. There's not a lot going on there though. And again, the remixes are always gonna be a little bit lower than the original stuff, just because it's just Animal Crossing music. So I think this one's a C for me, I think. You like jazz? Because that's what this song is. It's just kind of based on traditional jazz. You have very traditional jazz instruments, like you can hear the upright bass, which is kind of cool. Prominent horns, all that kind of stuff. This is a fine song. Like, I think it's very general jazz, which is fine, which is totally fine. But yeah, I think this one for me, it's probably going to be a B, low B, I think, is what we're going with. It's fine, I like it. It's nothing special. I think it fits within the genre very, very well. I like the fact that they're obviously using a brush on the drums, which is also very like important. Yeah, I think this is probably a low B. We have KK Jangara, which is based on a type of Japanese folk music. Jangara itself doesn't really mean much. It's more of an onomatopoeia, which I think is really interesting. There's a whole bunch of stuff on that, but the main thing about this one is it uses dueling shamisen, which again, we go back to 3-strung instruments. Very, very fun, very cool. It's kind of got a little bit of a call and response situation going on there too. It's also just really, really fast paced and fun. This one I really, really, really like. I just think it's really cool, very unique. Shamisen is so cool. So cool. And the training that goes into playing the shamisen is just so interesting. So I like it. I'll put that one an S. Next, we get into throat singing. We have KK Kume, which is a type of tube and throat singing. and very, very cool. I don't understand how people can throat sing. It's so interesting, and like it's so important to so many different cultures, but very, very, very cool. This one also features a lot of other Mongolian instruments as well. You can kind of hear the main melody that's in front of the throat singing. It's got kind of a very reedy, kind of like all over the place kind of sound to it. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. This one I think is still gonna be a C to me. I think it's really interesting. See, I love the like K.K Slider music because it introduces so much world music that people probably aren't going hunting for themselves unless they're into world music. So I love that it features something with throat singing. I think that's so cool. I think that's so cool. But I do think for me personally, this is still a C tier. Next we have the K.K Lament, which is specifically based on enka, which is a type of Japanese music. Technically, it's considered traditional pop music, which I think is really, really interesting. Very similar to a sentimental ballad, but just kind of not. It's almost a little bit more than that. Really, really popular in the 50s, which makes sense at the time. I like this one a decent amount. Like, I think it's very unique in how it sounds. You can tell that it has traditional and emerging pop influences, which is kind of cool. So I think this one is gonna be a B tier for me. I think it's got a good thing. It's got a good drum beat in the background, just very interesting melodic. You can kind of like almost feel the emotion behind it like a sentimental ballad. So I like this one a lot. I think this one's gonna be a high B. So next we have KK Love Song, sticking on the theme of love, which is based on 90s R&B, which again, big topic in R&B in that time. Love, relationships, breaking up, all of that kind of stuff. The entire scheme of love is very important in that genre. This one's a little boring to me. This one's a little bit boring. I think it's cool. You can very much so hear like the Destiny's Child kind of like I think I'd have to put this one in D, actually. Like, I just don't like this one. I just don't really like this one a lot. So we'll put it in D. Next, we have KK Lovers, which is based on lovers rock. More Jamaican music, more Jamaican music. You can kind of hear that specifically in the percussion part. So it's specifically a subgenre of reggae, which is why the influences are so strong. But of course, the topic is love, per usual, but this one specifically has like a very nice upbeat kind of tone to it too. Very, very fun. Super popular in the 70s. This one, I think of all of the love related songs, this is definitely my favorite. This one I think I would put in A. So KK Lullaby, not really any big influences other than its music box music, which is pretty cute. The cool thing about the end of this one is actually it sounds like it's rewinding the music box, which I just think that's a really cool, very stylistic effect. I don't really like this one all that much. It makes me too sad. It makes me too sad, which is a funny way to kind of be like, I don't like this one, but it really does. It's like, it's very nostalgic and like, I don't know, it brings up memories. It brings up memories. It's cute, but I think for this one, I think I'm gonna put it in C. Normally I'm more positive about the nostalgia ones, but I don't know. This one just makes me really sad. So I'm gonna put this one in C. KK Mambo, we're going to Cuba. But this song, like specifically, there's nothing like overtly mambo about it. It sounds very like dance-like, very kind of samba-y in a way as well. This one's fine. I mean, this one's okay. This is, I think, a C to me, but I really do appreciate the trumpet line and just kind of the form of it. You have like that very soloistic part, and then you have like everybody coming in. Very cool, very good percussion part. Again, I really like that. This one I think is a C to me though. Now this is a fun one to talk about because we are going to Indonesia for this one. So KK Marathon uses gamelan music, and gamelan is so important in Indonesian music. And it's really cool because there are two very different styles of gamelan music. So you have Javanese gamelan, which is very melodic, very like not as fast paced usually. It's very, very lyrical, whereas you have Balinese gamelan, which is what this one is specifically based off of, and it's a lot more technical, a lot faster paced, very, very fun, usually kind of happier in sound as well. And I just think it's so cool that like one country has a very, very diverse kind of way of using the same instrument depending on where you're at geographically. I just think that's really, really cool. And I don't know, watch gamelan videos. They're so interesting. Gamelan is such an interesting instrument, so very, very cool. I really like this one specifically. It's got a very happy tone to it. As I said, it's inspired by Balinese gamelan music, and it's just just fun. It's just really fun, very technical. This one I think is an A. It's cute. It's very, very cute. So I like it. I like this one a lot. So we're gonna put it in A. KK March, there's not much to say about it. It's kind of based off of marching band marches, I guess. It's very triumphant. It feels like you just kind of conquered a castle and like you're being paraded out and everybody's happy and stuff. So I think that's fine. It's cute. It's cute. I think this one's kind of just another C for me. It doesn't do much for me, but I don't dislike it. K.K Mariachi is based on Mexican mariachi. Of course, you have very percussive, you've got very, very big brass in there as well, acoustic guitar, just kind of like your typical mariachi band structure in terms of instrumentation. You have the acoustic guitar where it's playing the melody for a little bit. It's just very sweet. Like, I really, really like this one. Mariachi music is so cool and diverse in itself as well, but this one, it's a really nice song. It's a really nice song, so I'm gonna put this one in B. So next we have K.K Metal, which every time I hear this song, it reminds me of this guitar that I had for my American Girl dolls that would play metal music. It was really weird. It wasn't even really so much metal, more of it was just hard rock, but it just, the tones sound really similar to one another. So I always think about that when I think of K.K Metal. I think this one's really cool. I like how it imitates a very like technical guitar part in it as well. It just kind of has a really like driving feel to it. I feel like I almost wish there were more metal influences in music in Animal Crossing, which it's, you know, those two things don't usually mix, but metal is just also another really diverse genre where like there's so many subgenres. It's very similar to electronic music in that regard where there's just so much there, whereas this doesn't really stick to any one kind of metal like subgenre at all. It's just kind of like a groove, which is fine, this one I do think I'm gonna put in C just because I wish it were more interesting, I think. Now, K.K Malanga. So it's very similar to a habanera, which the main difference mainly comes from the tempo and also the strength of the beats. So Malanga has a much more waltzy kind of feel to it because of how strong that first beat is. It almost makes it feel like it's in a triple feel even though it's not. So the fourth beat is just really, really, really weak. Cool and unique choice for Animal Crossing. I like how unique it is. It's just, it's cool. It's cool, it's mysterious. You can kind of like feel like you're sitting at a table in a bar looking over at somebody trying to glean information. Like, that's what this song makes me feel like. I don't know. Just very cool and mysterious, so this one goes in B. So next we have K.K Moody, which is based on boleros of Cuba, which is very different from classical boleros that you would hear in some other classical songs. But bolero, you're typically, again, talking about love. That's another big influence. But it's got this nice slow groove to it, like you're trying to like express your feelings for somebody. Oh, it's cool. This one's got a lot going on. You have some really cool, interesting percussion parts, and just it's very cool. I don't know. I like this one well enough. I don't think it's really enough to propel itself into B. I think this one's still a C, but I do like it. It does kind of feel like a traditional love song in like a 50s, 60s kind of movies. Next we have K.K Oasis, which is kind of just based on Indian music in general. I wish it got more specific. I wish there was a stronger influence here, but it is still kind of cool. You have a lot of traditional Indian percussion instruments like tablas, which is really, really, really cool. Lots of stuff going on in there. This one's fine. I just wish it had like a stronger influence, because again, India also has a really, really, really diverse sphere of music as well. So this one's cool. This one's cool. This one's, I think, a C. I like how it sounds, but again, I wish there were more to it. I wish there were more. Next we have K.K Parade, which is one of the doofiest songs I've ever heard in my whole life. It's so weird. I think it's supposed to be based off of like a circus march kind of situation, but it's really just silly. It's really, really, really just silly. It makes me really happy. So for that, it goes in A tier. Listen, it's my tier list. I can put whatever I want, wherever I want, but this one goes in A tier because it's just so weird. It's so strange. I don't understand why it exists, but it's so funny. It's so funny. So yeah, that goes in A. So next we have K.K Polka, which I already have a smile on my face. Polka music is just very also silly, and I really like it. So polka is traditionally associated with Eastern Europe, but polka music actually originated in the Czech Republic, which is just cool. Polka music obviously has a very dancey feel to it. It's usually very happy, very fun. I don't know, it's just a very bouncy, happy dance that puts a smile on your face. So I think this is a really great example of a polka. I'm gonna put this one in B. I have a soft spot in my heart for polkas, so. Now we go back to America with K.K Ragtime. So ragtime was very, very popular in the 19th and 20th centuries. Very famous example is of course The Entertainer. So ragtime music is named for its syncopated rhythms, aka very ragged rhythms. See where that comes from. And I think this is a really nice little ragtime piece. Makes you feel like you're in an old saloon in the late 19th century. This is a fun one. It's a fun one. Like, you can definitely hear the influences from The Entertainer. there, but a lot of ragtime music kind of sounds a little samey sometimes. Sorry, ragtime fans, but that's just kind of how I feel. But I think in low B, again, I think it's a good example of ragtime, and I think, you know, it does everything that ragtime does. Piano, fun rhythms, happy sounds. So there you go. Next we have KK Rally. Traditional Japanese music. This is based on Ondo, which Ondo itself is actually kind of an ambiguous term. It doesn't really mean anything super specific, but in this case, it's referring to kind of the 2/2 feel of the song. It's very swung. You can kind of hear it, ba-da-da-da-da-da. But so I like this one. Again, uses a lot of traditional Japanese instruments. It's just kind of a fun one. Again, it makes you feel like you're kind of at a festival walking about the place. Very cool. This one, I think I'm gonna put also in low B. I don't like it as much as some of the other Japanese inspired ones, but I do like it. I think it's very cool. And again, just very unique. Now we have another reggae song, KK Reggae. Wow, look at that. So of course, reggae is the influence here, and it uses a dub synthesizer for the main melody too, which I think is really interesting, and again, very of the time. It just has that very kind of chill feel to it that we've heard in a lot of the other reggae influenced songs. This one's good. This one is actually one of my least favorite of the reggae inspired ones, but it's still great. It definitely fits within the genre, of course. Everything is there. I think this one's a B. Now, if you know me personally, you know I am a simp for Vocaloid music, and we have KK Robot Synth, which is based on Vocaloid music. Quite literally, KK is like cosplaying as Kaito on the front, which I think is hilarious, but this is actually one of the only KK songs that has a voice to it, which of course it does, because that's the whole point of it. So yes, based on Vocaloid and other vocal synthesizers. Very cool. I like the song well enough. I think it does kind of take a lot of like very specific Vocaloid influences in terms of like the song, the feel of it. I like it. I think this one's an A for me. I think it's so funny that they went a Vocaloid direction with one of these songs. I think that's great. I think that's super duper great. So that one goes an A. Next we have KK Rock, which has a hard rock influence. There's not much to say about it. Again, not really super influenced by any specific era of rock. I'd have to guess maybe the 70s, 80s, but nothing too specific. This one's fine. It's got a good groove. Actually, I kind of don't like this one. After hearing it a little bit more, I'm kind of like, eh. I think this one's a D tier for me, honestly. Like, it's just, there's not a lot going on here. There's just not a lot. Like, yeah, you have a grooving guitar beat, you have, you know, some cymbals. It's just, there's not a lot. There's just not a lot. So I think that's a D for me, actually. Next, we have KK Rockabilly, which is very different from the previous one. So Rockabilly is kind of a subgenre of rock that was very popular in the 50s. Think Elvis Presley kind of deal. Again, it's got kind of a swung feel to it as well. Very, very popular. Very, very popular. Again, if you've listened to Elvis, you've heard Rockabilly. In fact, I'm pretty sure that KK is supposed to be dressed up as Elvis on the front. I'm gonna guess. Or just your typical 1950s band member with the suit and the hair. So, I don't know. This one's fun. I'll put it in C, I think. No strong feelings towards it either which way. Okay, so going slightly out of order in terms of the alphabet, just because this playlist is slightly out of order, we have KK Salsa, which takes Cuban influences. And the main thing is it uses a Wurlitzer, which is really, really important in Cuban music and other types of music. We'll hear the Wurlitzer actually in some Italian music as well later on. But I think it's good. It's got a very, like, again, dancey, groovy feel to it. I think this does a really, really good job with the salsa. It's fun. It's just a fun one. This one I think is a B for me. Now going back into alphabetical order, we have KK Safari, which takes inspiration from desert blues. So what desert blues does, it combines African folk music and instruments with American jazz influences. This one, you can kind of hear the jazz and like the rhythm of it and like especially the percussion parts, but like you have these syncopated rhythms. Like it's very, very cool. There's a lot going on here texturally. This is a really cool one and I think a little bit underrated as well. I really, really appreciate this one. This one I think for me is gonna go high B. I think I really, really like this one. And again, you have a lot of call and response in this one too, which is very typical of traditional African music. Very, very cool. Again, just a really, really nice song. Next we have KK Samba, and samba itself is a pretty broad term, honestly. But in this case, it's talking about the Afro-Brazilian style of dance and music. Very percussive feel to it, lots of interesting percussion instruments going on there. And you have kind of like a more mellow mid-ranged horn playing the melody. Very cool. Lots of fun rhythmic changes in here as well. This one's just, it's a happy one. It's a happy one. This one I think goes in B for me. Next we have KK Ska, and I see so much ska hate on the internet. It makes me really sad because I think ska music is kind of fun. So ska is another Jamaican genre, which actually is the precursor to reggae. You can kind of hear it a lot in the percussion influences and just like the horns. It's party music 100%. I love it, brass party music. I think KK Ska is fun. I like it. I'm putting it an A, and I don't care what people on the internet say. I think ska music is fun. Next we have KK Slack Key, and we're going back to Hawaii for more Hawaiian music. So slack key guitar is a type of guitar that's used in a lot of traditional Hawaiian music, where you're slacking the keys by lowering the pitch of them. So you're tuning it in a very specific way to get the exact timbre that you need. And I think this one's really nice. Very, again, has a weird nostalgic feeling to it. And just very relaxing, very cute. This one I really do like. I think this one I'm probably gonna put in low A. So we have KK Sonata. This is one of my more favorite Western classical ones, even though, you know, it's just kind of sonata. So this song actually does follow sonata form, which is pretty important if you're gonna title a song sonata. So you have your exposition, your development, your recapitulation, and the coda to end it all off. However, the air check version of this song kind of doesn't follow the form, so it can loop. But, you know, that's fine. I do like this one actually kind of a lot. And I don't know, I like this one. I think it's good. It's different enough from more of the other Western classical music. I think this one I'll put in a low A. Next we have KK Song, which is really just Totaka's song, which is a song that's been used as an Easter egg in so many different games. So obviously Totaka worked on the music in Animal Crossing, and he'll just kind of put it in various game music that he works on. So it's fine. I mean, the song itself is just kind of boring, so I am gonna put it in high D, but I love that it's an Easter egg. I love that it's been included, and it just kind of shows like the legacy of Totaka's work. So that's kind of cool, but I think as a song, I'm putting it in D. So KK Soul is inspired by Southern Soul, and it's just, again, a groove, an absolute groove. I love this one a lot. Actually, you know, I think KK Soul is the one that I have playing in my bathroom. I don't remember what one I said that I had playing in my bathroom. KK Soul is the one that's in my bathroom in New Horizons, but I really like this one. Again, just very chill, very vibey. This one's an S for me. I really like it. And then you have the horns coming in, so it's fun. So we have KK Step, and I'm pretty sure the name's just kind of referring to like an actual step where it's, you know, just a flat stretch of land. But the song takes a lot of influences from Russian and Ukrainian music, Eastern European. You can kind of hear it in the form where you have your melody and then you kind of like slow down a little bit and then speed it up. Very similar to the song Kalinka in terms of its form. So you have a flute-like instrument in this too, which I think is supposed to be based on the kalyuka, which is a Ukrainian flute. Very fun, very cool. I've always liked this one. I think it's cool. I really like Eastern European music. I think there's just a lot of interesting stuff there. So this one I think I am gonna put in S. This is another one that I think I've used in music rooms in Animal Crossing games before, so. Next we have KK Stroll, which is just kind of a happy-go-lucky song that you play while you're going walking. There's not much to say about it. It's also very nostalgic. I don't really know why. I am gonna put it in C. It doesn't make me nostalgic in the same way that the Lullaby one does, where it just makes me sad, but it's just like, it's kind of melancholic in a weird way. It's a cute song. It's very cute, and it does make you feel like you're kind of just going on a little walk. So KK Swing. I like swing music. I had a very big period in early college where I was very into swing music for some reason, no idea why. But so obviously KK Swing, based off swing music, mainly from the 20s to the 40s, that kind of era of swing. Though I think this one specifically is more going for the 30s, just based on the influences. It sounds like a Glenn Miller tune, which of course KK is dressed up as Glenn Miller on the front. Just a funny thing. But this one does kind of a weird thing, like, where it's supposed to kind of get that bend that a lot of swing songs have in the horns, but it does something weird electronically where it just kind of sounds not great. And I don't know if maybe they're trying to be like, oh, this is imitating like a Victrola kind of situation, but I don't like this one. I like usually kind of faster swing music. This is a D tier for me. KK Swing is definitely a D tier for me. It's just kind of weird and eerie, and I don't think it's supposed to be. I really don't think it's supposed to be, so it's Yeah, it's a D. It's a D. So next we have K.K Synth, which is kind of another weird abstract one. It's based on very early electronic music of the 60s and 70s. It has kind of a minimalist feel to it. It's got some really interesting electronic sounds supposed to be mimicking percussion, which it's kind of cool. I just don't really like the song. I think it's really interesting, but I just don't really like it. So this is another D tier for me. So we have K.K Tango next, which is based off of the dance, the tango. And in this one you have kind of an accordion and an acoustic guitar situation kind of going on there. It's nice. I think it's a good tango. I think it's a good tango. This one I think is a B. Yeah, I mean, it's just a good tango. That's all it is. That's all it is. Next we have K.K Technopop, which is another one I really, really like. This one mainly takes inspirations from the Japanese group Yellow Magic Orchestra, which I really like. I really, really like Yellow Magic Orchestra. So yeah, 70s Technopop, very fun. You can kind of hear like the very poppy bits that's very typical of the time. It's got kind of a groovy feel, but it's got a lot going on texturally too. So I really like it. I like it. I think it's fun. This one's an A for me. K.K Waltz is another classic one for me. This one was actually playing in the main room of my house in New Leaf. I don't know. I really like waltzes. I always have. I really, really like triple feel in music. It's fun. It's very, very fun. And yeah, as I said, has a triple feel, very typical of waltz. You have this really nice descending line that's very cool. This is an S tier. This is an S tier for me. I have a lot of nostalgia for that track, and again, I really like waltzes. I think they're fun. Next we have K.K Western, which sounds like the opening to a Western movie or show of the 1950s. It has everything that's very, very typical of like, you know, the lonesome cowboy riding off into the sunset, which is very nostalgic to me. I used to watch a lot of Westerns with my grandpa, and I don't know, I've always really liked this one. I think it's very fitting for what it's going for. So this one's definitely a low A for me. So this one that we have is King K.K, which is based on traditional Japanese music, ritual music mainly. You can kind of hear the doumbek in the background. That's the main percussion sound that you hear. And there are some other percussive aspects of it too, but that's the main one. It's also got that nice kind of shamisen twang to it too. It's fine. This one's fine. I think it's really interesting. It's very, you know, it's cool to have this aspect of traditional Japanese music as well, because this is probably the one with the oldest influence. So it's really, really cool. This one to me is still kind of a C though, I think. Next we have Lucky K.K, which I've seen many people get upset about this one with good reason. So Lucky K.K is based on the name, supposed to be based on Irish music, which it does do that. It does have some Irish influences as well. However, on the cover of this one, it has bagpipes, and bagpipes are not Irish. I think the sound that they're using, I think, is really supposed to be Aeolian pipes, which is Irish. That's the Irish version of bagpipes, if you want to think about it that way. But so there's a lot of discord there, but regardless, this one also uses a bowron for the main drum as well as a tin whistle. This one's got a lot of really, really cool influence. I think this one's fun. I think despite the fact that it has a bagpipe on the cover, this one is still an A to me. I really do like it. Next, we have Marine Song 2001, which is Cap'n's song. Cap'n is one of my favorite characters in Animal Crossing. So you have Cap'n singing, of course. It's great that KK was able to get him in, honestly. But this is one that is always going to be nostalgic for me, and even though it's a cover, I gotta put it in S. I love Cap'n. I love this song. It really is just, it's a really special one to me, so I'm putting that one in there. It makes me really nostalgic for my grandparents for some reason. I don't know why. Not to get all sad, but like it kind of does. Like, I don't know. It's very comforting. It's very sweet. I like it, so it's an S tier for me. And so now we have Mountain Song, which, if you can already tell by my exasperation, we're not ranking it very high. So it's based on yodeling music, and I don't think I really need to explain yodeling too much. I think it's really fun and cool what they did to imitate yodeling, but I don't like it. I'm not a big yodel fan. I will happily watch somebody and listen to somebody yodel, but I'm not really gonna listen to it, so I am gonna put it in D, but I do think it's cool what they did. I think it's very cool how they imitated it without using a voice, so that's cool. In the acoustic version, it's all just KK whistling, which is more impressive, but still. Next we have Mr. KK, which is another one that I can't rank very high. I think it's kind of boring, but it's interesting in terms of influence. It's based off of Japanese school anthems, which you can kind of hear. It has a very anthem-y kind of sound to it. It has a very strong melody that's not too complex, it's very, very simple. And yeah, it's just one that it's like, yeah, I could see children standing up at the beginning of the day and singing this song for their school. But yeah, I'm not really a big fan, so I'm gonna put it in C. Next we have My Place, which sounds like it has more Jamaican influences in the percussion, but it's very mainly electronic. It's generally happy, I think, in terms of like how it sounds, but it does have a really intricate kind of melancholic drum kit sound to it too. So I don't know, I think this is an interesting one. I'm not really super partial to it though, so I am gonna put it in C. I'm just not super partial to it. So next we have just a song called Neapolitan, which is based off of music from Naples, which I was actually in not that long ago. So this includes a lot of Italian motifs in it. You can kind of hear it and like the trading of the melody, but it also uses a Wurlitzer, which is very, very typical of this type of Italian music. It's just, you know, it's fine, it's fine. I will say I never really felt like this kind of a song when I was in Naples, I will say. So I don't really get the same vibe. I think the song itself is fine though, I'm gonna put it in C. So next we have Only Me, which sounds very Bing Crosby-y. It's 1950s ballad music. However, oh, and I didn't know this, but this is kind of a new thing. Instead of calling it like ballad, 1950s ballad, it's actually traditional pop music is now what it's being referred to, which I think is a really, really fitting name because you can hear a lot of pop that we're more familiar with now kind of get its start in this era. And I think this song kind of does a good job at that too. Like it still maintains that same sentimentality though, of course, but I think you can kind of hear the influences a little bit. This one's fine. I have nothing against Bing Crosby. It's just okay. This one's just okay, so this is another C for me. So this one's kind of weird. Very minimalist, we have Pondering, and this song is constructed to make you feel like you're thinking about something. So there's that, I guess. This one's a D tier. I don't have much to say about this one. I don't really like this one. I think it's cool what they tried to do. I just think it's not the kind of minimalist that I'm kind of like, wow, that's really cool. It's kind of just there. Next we have Rockin' KK, which is more of that traditional 1950s rock. Again, very Elvis influenced. I think this one's a fun one. I think this is like, it kind of makes you feel like you're grooving and jamming and stuff. So I like it. I like it a lot. This one I think is gonna go in B for me. Next we have Soulful KK, which is also an interesting one because this one's inspired by gospel music. Gospel music also has a very rich history. I'm not the biggest fan of gospel music, but I think it's cool. This one also sounds a lot like Bill Withers' Lean on Me in some spots, which I think is interesting. But I do think this one is gonna go in C for me. But it's cool that there was some gospel music included. Like you wouldn't really, it's one of those genres that I don't think you would think like, oh yeah, let's put it in Animal Crossing. So Space KK is based on space rock, which is a genre of progressive rock. You don't really get the rock influences in this one though, I think. You get the space influences, that's for sure. But yeah, so it references a lot of like the minimalist music of the 60s and 70s, as I had talked about before, with just kind of these very electronic, repeating melodies, very kind of simplistic. Very fun. I like this one. I really do like this one. It's not as droning and abstract as some of the other more minimalist stuff. So I think this one I am gonna put in A. I like this one. I really, really do like this one. So next we have Spring Blossoms, which is apparently a remix of the Cherry Blossom Festival theme. I can't think of how the original one goes, but I think this one's cute. It does what it needs to do. There aren't any overly specific Japanese influences here other than some instrumentation choices, but it's a cute, happy-go-lucky song. I like it. I like it well enough. This one's an A. It's just cute. It's just really cute. It does make you feel like you're sitting outside looking at the cherry blossoms, so there you go. Another really popular one, we have Stale Cupcakes. So Stale Cupcakes is based on sadcore, which is pretty evident by how this song sounds. It's very, very sad and melancholic, but it's kind of like a subgenre of alternative rock in the 80s, which I think is really interesting, because again, you wouldn't really feel that from this song, but yeah, that's kind of where the influences come from. But the implication of this one is that it's the song that kind of plays when you forget about your snacks. I think that's really, really cute. This song, it is sad. It's very sad in terms of feeling, but I've always liked this one. It's always been like that slower Animal Crossing song So that one is gonna go an S, I think. Next we have Steep Hill, which is more Showa era music. It's very folk rock, which you can kind of get the influence of from that. It's got, again, more melancholy kind of feelings. You've got the guitar, you've got whistling, very, very of the era, which I think is really, really interesting. You have a bit more of a driving tempo with it too. I like this one. I think this one's cool. This one's an A for me, weirdly enough. I just think it's cool. I think it's a fun and interesting sounding song, so there you go. Surfer KK. I love surfers rock. It's kind of like a meme genre in a way, which I think is really funny, of the 60s, but I love surfer rock. It's just so fun and like so groovy. I love it. Honestly, Surfin' KK is an S tier for me. It's weird to say that because it's not one that I would really play in my house very often in Animal Crossing, but like, I just really like how this one sounds. It's very, very fun. So Surfin' KK is an S tier. So next we have the K-Funk, which is of course based on funk. So not only is it just, you know, based on funk, but the title itself is actually a reference to P-Funk, which was originated by, you know, George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. This one's got a good groove to it. I really, really like it. Big fan of funk. But yeah, it has a lot of very general funk influences too. You have kind of a fun brass section, great bass line. This one's an A. This one's an A for me. I really like this one a lot. So this one is To the Edge, more Jamaican influences. This is based on Rocksteady, which is actually kind of the middle sibling in between ska and reggae, which you can kind of hear it. It's very in between the two. You have the brassiness of the ska, but you also have the kind of percussive, chill feeling of reggae. Very interesting. I don't really like this song all that much. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. This one's kind of a C tier for me, I think. But it's cool. Again, I think it's so interesting that they use so much Jamaican music in Animal Crossing. I think it's very fitting, of course, but I just think it's a really, really interesting area of music to look at. So this one isn't based on any geographical location, but based on a different music group, the Beatles, 2 days ago. The melody actually takes a lot of influence from I Am a Walrus, whereas the bridge of the song actually has some influence from Let It Be. I wouldn't say it sounds like a Beatles song, but you can very much so tell that it's of the same era of the Beatles, which I think is really cool. Like, to use a specific group as influence for a song like this. I think it's cool. I think it's nice. It's a nice song to listen to, and I do like Beatles. I like the Beatles. But yeah, I think just kind of a mid to low B tier is a good spot for it. Very chill, very nice. But yeah, I don't know, just really interesting that they used the Beatles for this. Next we have Wandering, which is of course supposed to elicit the feeling of you wandering around, like a town, a forest, I don't really know. Somewhere, you're wandering somewhere, and I think that this one does a really good job at that. But yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to this one either. I think this one is probably a C, but again, not because it's a bad song, just because it doesn't really personally influence me, but I think it's cool, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in C. And our final song, you all know it, y'all love it, Welcome Horizons, the theme song of Animal Crossing New Horizons. So I do love this song. I really, really do. I know I've kind of been doing like the remixes of Animal Crossing themes like a little bit lower. Welcome Horizons though, it's just, I think it's very personally nostalgic because of all of the craziness that was going on at the time that New Horizons came out. I'd boot up the game, I'd play this song, and this is what would be, you know, in my ears very first thing. It's honestly one of my favorite openings of Animal Crossing, which I think is probably controversial, especially in comparison to New Leaf. Yeah, I just really like this one. I can't put it in S, but I do think I am gonna put it in a low A. I think of the covers that KK did for Animal Crossing songs, this one's the better, because it actually is different enough from the main theme. You have a shaker in there too that just kind of makes it feel a little bit more up-tempo. It's a cute one. It's a really cute one. 107 KK Slider songs. We didn't do the 3 secret songs, and we only did the air check versions. We did not do the acoustic versions. I think if we did the acoustic versions, my ratings would change a little bit, but maybe not too much. But that was a lot. I'll put kind of a bigger version of the tier list up on the screen right now so you can kind of see where everybody's sitting. Some of them kind of got a little jumbled, especially within the middle tiers, but you know, I think for the most part, they're pretty much sitting where I want them to sit. But yeah, I really hope this video was kind of educational as well as fun going through all of these songs. I really hope that maybe you learned something new about some of your favorite K.K Slider songs and their influences and the instrumentation. I think it's so cool how Animal Crossing just has this whole bucket of music that takes so many influences from so many different parts of the world and so many different genres that it was really fun to talk about, even if it took forever. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite K.K Slider song? Did you find a new K.K Slider song that you really liked? Did you know about any of these influences? Or maybe there's something that I missed too. Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. But all right, everybody, that's going to do it for now. Thank you for sticking through this very, very long musical video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye! Boop!